Hello, this is Stacy and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about just project management. Many years ago, maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, a lot of the larger firms were just making, people who knew how to read plans, project managers. But they didn't know any aspect of managing a project and what that all means. And so, what I wanted to do today is kind of give you an overview of how I arranged the project management courses. But what I did was break it down for individual firms. And so, if this is something that you are interested in, make sure for sure that you subscribe, like, and hit the bell notification. One thing I'm noticing in my research and looking at the analysis of my page, there are 70, no, let me back up. 97% of my listeners are not subscribers. I put a lot of time into this and I know you're learning a lot. So if you are listening, please subscribe. That helps me out tremendously on YouTube because, as you can probably figure, I'm the only female in construction on this platform in a lot of cases, and I could use your help. All right, so let's talk about project management, how I have broken it down. Now, this in particular, this class schedule is only for the concrete trade, but you can, no matter the trade, we're going to study the same principles, the same processes, and get you a clear understanding of how you're supposed to manage the project. And so I would just want to go through my outline here to give you an idea of how I set up the class. And if you are interested, make sure you email me at education at sfjohnsonconsulting.com. All right. And so, what are we talking about when we talk about project management? Well, when I do an estimate, I have the plans. I'm able to break it all down into its component parts and give it a value. Well, when we talk about in real life now, we're doing that same thing in real life. Okay, so we're taking it apart in its component parts and we're making sure we understand the risk, the cost, everything we need in order to finish the project within budget and within the guidelines that the owner has set and the contract has set. Okay, and so when you are a project manager, there's certain things you need to understand. So remember, this is specific to anyone that's in concrete, the concrete trade, but it applies to all the trades. Okay, and so I say class one, but this is, in a good world when a contractor has all day to study as opposed to a couple of hours a day. Class one was what we're going to do is we're going to review all the scopes of work. Because with this, we have an idea, or we assume you know about the concrete trade. You probably have, you're a concrete contractor, or you know how to read the plans very well. So there are no deficiencies when it comes to reading the plans and understand what I'm talking about when I say the architectural set, the structural set, and the civil set. So, what we look at is we review all of the scopes of work, and I make sure my students have a clear understanding what concrete is in the architectural set. Where do we go? What should it look like? How do we analyze it? The same thing with the structural set, and if there's concrete within the civil set, I break that down and make sure that they know how to read the plans, which again, they're supposed to have that solid knowledge when they start, but if not, we can work on that too. Know what the sheets look like and know where to go to class two, what should be on the estimate. Okay, and so what I do is I review various concrete estimates with different scopes. Okay, we break it down. So we do a very detailed takeoff for whatever applies for that project. And I call it the line item reviews because each project, each concrete job, each type of it's a foundation, it's site concrete, it's curbs and gutters, it's asphalt, it's whatever. It's going to have a certain configuration, certain amount of concrete, rebar, formwork, whatever. So what should go in the estimate? Okay. So, and then the more, so we go over, all the costs and everything, and the man hour totals, right, for each of those. And then, yes, you will receive our ultimate uh, estimating spreadsheet. And for each of the trades, we have assembly spreadsheets where we just give you that one value. And then we have the individual breakdown spreadsheets. So you would receive every one of them. So, yeah, once we have the takeoff numbers, we're able to put it in there. And yeah, it's going to give us our material costs, our labor costs, our man hour totals, and all of that. Okay, so what should be in your estimate? To manage a project, you got to know a couple of things. What are you managing as far as your scope of work? And we do that when we do the takeoff. When we do the takeoff, we're able to create how much time it's going to take. And again, I can't emphasize that enough. If you are a contractor and you're just guessing on your labor costs, labor man hours, you're really just setting yourself up to do that always, and you're never going to be able to do any big jobs because, yeah, like I call them the big boys, but when you bid commercial projects, you got to be very detailed. You have to know how long each aspect of your job is going to take. So, as a individual, I call it like myself, owner operated situation, you really need to know because you need to know when a job is going to begin and end because you run your own business. You have to know how many projects you can operate within a month, a year, and keep your crew working. That's the biggest thing. Oh, my crew's going to leave me if I don't keep them working. Well, big businesses become big because they can manage projects and they know how long a job's going to take. And so they know how many they can take in a year. And then, you can be more educated when it comes to your own projects and when it comes to a GC just giving you some information and saying, okay, we think this is a 11-week project. And then you look at the plans, it's like, you know what, this is going to take us like 4 weeks. You want to be able to do that on your own. And so when you take this project management course for whatever the trade, and again, we're emphasizing here for concrete, you'll learn how to do all of that. Okay. So the more specific, specific things related to project management, we go over the scope management, what it is. We go over the statement of work, what is scope creep, the scope management plan, and the tools you need for scope management. We all know the term scope. Well, that's what you're going to be doing. Okay, and how do we complete a statement of work? And what is scope creep? Obviously, creeping means it's moving somewhere, and what all that is. And the best thing about, what I really try to do is give you the most technical information so you can feel like you're empowered to do what you need to do for your company. And people can't just come out of nowhere and tell you anything. And when COVID came and went, a lot of people went out there on their own, started their own businesses because they were being mistreated by the firms they were working with. Well, those firms did or did not know this the way they should have. But now that you're on your own, you have to know it. You have to know it just as well. Because honestly, there's so many GCs always looking for new green contractors to lie to promise work, to have you do work without contracts. Because I'm new, I got to make money for my family, so I'm going to go out there and take a chance. But the GCs know that. They've been doing that since they've been in business, the bigger ones. They're always looking for the green people. Okay. And my goal is being an owner operator and working in construction defect litigation before I even did this 15 years ago. I've always helped the smaller contractors get out of trouble and stay out of trouble. Okay. And so if you're on your own, running your own firm, yeah, you need to get the work, but you need a proper estimate. You need to know how to how much time that project's going to take, so you can say, well, I want to make $500,000 this year. Well, how are you going to do that if you don't know even how much time one project's going to take? Okay, let alone how many projects do I need to make 500,000? It all comes down to math. Everything is math. Everything. All right, so scope management, schedule management. This is the fun part. This is the hardest part, but the fun part. This is the nerdy part where we have to get a schedule management plan and the guidelines and the procedures and a project schedule. That's the fun part. Monitor and control schedule. Because again, that goes back to there's this big project that's $1 million. Well, we have to monitor that $1 million, right? We know and if it's from the ground up, and I'll go over a sample later on YouTube. I'll attach it to this at some time later because I'm going to redo it because it's very old. Where I've given a complete project schedule for a Popeyes Louisiana kitchen from the ground up. And who comes first, who comes second, when the inspections are due, takes place. And the only way they know how many days, how long it's going to take to do the foundation, then we got to do underground utilities. We know how long that's going to take, right? Then, because we got to stub up and drop the foundation, and we got to get inspections before we can drop the foundation before and after the stub up. So, how long is all of this going to take? Okay. And so I know you've heard about the Gantt chart. Okay, all of those things. Those are what you need. And the crown jewel of a project schedule is knowing how many man hours each operation is going to take. So WBS, the work breakdown schedule for every operation. So when you think about concrete, which is what we're looking at, what's the first thing you do with the concrete? Well, there's got to be a grading process. Are you handling that or not? Because what we got to do, we've got to grade and excavate for footings, columns. Okay, and so we have to be able to break down our estimate, our detailed estimate that we've completed based on the plans on the very first part of that, which is the form work in some way. Of course, if you're doing concrete, that's pretty much the first thing. I got to form it out. Then I've got to put in all the reinforcements, and then I drop the concrete, and then I have to finish it. And all of those things are processes that take a certain amount of time. Okay, and so that's how we do our project schedule. Okay, if you're an electrician, you got your rough in part of your electrical, you got your finish, you got trim. So you have to be able to look at your detailed line item estimate and break that stuff down. And if you don't know how to convert your scope into man hours, if you have no accurate way of doing that, then you kind of just at the mercy of whoever says what at any time. And being a woman in construction, I never wanted anybody to be able to prove me wrong because that's all they want to do anyway. Because you're like one of 100 in the room in construction. So you don't know nothing. Even taking my OSHA certifications, getting talked over all the time because some guys are just assholes. I'm sorry, and only think men know anything about everything. Which, as we continue on in life, we find that that is not true. So, and then the smart ones know I better listen to that person because I don't care if she's a hybrid. She's very intelligent. She can help me. That's all. You don't need to like people. Can that person help me get where I need to go? And can I treat them in a respectful manner on the way there? That's all. You don't have to love everybody. All right, here we go. So, yeah, I'm going to teach you how to go from your line item estimate and then create a project schedule, breaking it into its component parts. What comes first, what comes second, how long is it going to take? That's the only way you're going to intelligently know. And going back to what I said before, how many do I need to make $500,000 this year? Or should I just go back and work for somebody else that's already got this figured out and I just show up to work every day? That's the difference, right? Between self employed and going and getting W 2ing. Somebody else already figured this part out for me. I'm just showing up. I've never had a job where that was ever good for me. So I had to learn what they had to teach me. Then I had to go on and do it myself for my own money, whether it was repairing pagers, beep, 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 beep. I was the top Motorola pager repair technician back in the 90s. I went and did it on my own for 10 years. So I've never been just waiting around waiting for people to promote me. It'll never happen. All right, so I go through all of the technical stuff when the technical aspects of project management, scope management, manage your scope of work, manage your schedule, integration management. Okay, what is that? Well, there are other scopes of work that have to work with mine. Okay, and so I have to make sure I know how they work with mine. And that really comes back to the project schedule. I mean, the schedule, the construction schedule. Critical moments, I have to be done so the next person can get it done. Okay, and same thing, process group, perform integrated change control. This is all real technical stuff, but it is project management. Okay, for in this case, for our concrete person. So I'm going to have videos going in more detail and definitions and what we need and what we do and what we use for each of these very technical terms. I mean, you can go out there and I don't know how much it is to do that, but they're going to probably, with a whole lot less passion, teach you all of these things, but probably not do everything very well, especially the first part. Usually, if they're really good in the project management part, they have no idea on the reading the plans part. But I might be wrong. I might be wrong. But talk to me. Price is not an issue. There is a set price for the class. But my thing is, and what I found to be true, my students typically just take a couple of classes and they're able to do what I'm teaching them because I put it to them in such a clear fashion and give them the tools they need. Or if I can't give them to them, recommend the tools that they need to get it done right. Okay, and so this this is project management. You got to know how to read the plans. Okay, you have to understand for step one. You got to understand your scope of work to the T, meaning what comes first, what comes second, what comes third in my individual scope of work. What comes first, second, third when I have to lay a foundation, when I have to put up the framing and the drywall, when it's structural framing, when it's plumbing, what comes first, what comes second. Got to know all of that. So, yeah, you got to understand your scope of work, what should be in your estimate from all of the material, labor, and additional costs. I mean, there's so many additional costs that are different depending on the scope of work, depending on the trade. A lot of the civil set scopes of work have a lot of stuff you have to think about or that may be included or you have to add that aren't on the plans. Like you moving a bunch of dirt and it's summer, that dirt's gonna get dry and fly around. You gotta de-water it. I mean, you gotta water it, or you may be under there digging and you gotta de-water, meaning I'm about to drown. I hit a vein of water, and that wasn't on the plans, but you have to plan for it. So those are all depending on the trade, your project management, your scope management, your schedule management, your integration management is going to be different. Okay. So this is Stacy SF Johnson Consulting. If you like this, if you thought it was useful in any way, please like, please subscribe, and hit the bell notification. And the best thing, I don't call myself the construction queen because, a queen typically has the ability to grant you any wish you choose. And I call myself construction queen because there's pretty much nothing that I'm missing when it comes to the construction trades, the knowledge you need to be a good, whether you're doing it physically or at the admin side. I can pretty much walk you through any aspect of it, whether you want to get your license, you want to learn how to be an estimator, you want to work in the office, you want to learn project management, You want to learn how to be safe as a electrician, or you want to become an electrician. My son is an electrical tech, which I think is awesome. So, I'm able to do it in my own family, which is great. And so I consider all of you my family. So please like, subscribe, send me any request of, whatever trade you're having difficulty with, or topic, or understanding, having a difficult time understanding. My time is limited now in terms of one on one classes, but I will make time, but they're not free. And I try to put enough on here, and the memberships join, because I'm going to start to membership only a lot of really good stuff. So, yeah, email me at education at sfjohnsonconsulting.com. And don't forget, subscribe. 97% of you would do me such a good service just by hitting the subscribe button, and let me know what you want to know. I'm here. See you soon.